I want to welcome everybody to my favorite podcast. Just kidding. The Evolution Project. And I want to introduce you guys today to Adrian Dayton. Now, Adrian Dayton, or as those who know and love him call him AD, uh, I truly, 1 year ago, like October-ish, September-ish, is when I met Adrian. So I barely knew him a year ago at this time. And now I can genuinely say he's one of the dudes I spend probably the most time with. And we hang out and we're going to talk a little bit about our cowboy horse trip we had last summer and what we're doing again this next year. And I just want to, introduce you to him and get kind of like, my hope is that you get a window into what I get to experience on a normal basis with this guy. Adrian is one of my friends that asks really good questions. He's a really good listener, and he genuinely cares. And I felt that from like the first time I talked to him. So,
Wow. Thanks, Bryan. Oh, nice, man.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm wearing our shirt today. I got to show everybody this, baby.
I
'Cause I'm
love it.
so
I
proud
know.
of
I
it.
was like, if I'd known it, we were wearing the shirts, I would have worn the shirt, you know?
I actually think it's probably good we both aren't wearing the shirt because then it might have
Yeah.
seemed like a little too like fabricated.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I think a fun fact about everyone that everyone needs to know about Adrian is that he loves the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah. That's
And
right. I'm actually wearing my Buffalo Bill shoes right now.
there you
Buffalo
go.
Bill shoes. Wait. There's the logos on the other side.
This is so good. They're not just the colors. Those are official Buffalo Bills.
That's
Like
right. That's
the
right.
training staff has those. You steal a pair of those like before
My
after a game or something.
fandom for the Buffalo Bills, like I don't mess around about that, you know? So
Yeah, bless their hearts. Josh Allen. If I know Josh Allen's probably listening to the podcast, so let's give a quick shout out to Josh Allen. Hey, Josh, thanks. We really
yeah.
appreciate all the hard
Dude,
work you're doing.
look, people have different opinions about different like sports celebrities. I've never heard anyone say something negative about Josh Allen, you know?
No, dude, he's one of those guys that I'm like, I think I could hang out with him. I feel like I already know him. Like if we
Yeah.
hung out, it'd just be like, hey, Josh, what's up? Hey, Brian.
Like he would probably like hanging out with me. Like that's
Yes, exactly. He'd be at
That's
Infinity Springs with us this morning,
right.
just chilling.
Hitting the sauna.
All right. Hey, Adrian. So let's kind of go back and introduce everybody. So like a year ago, a little over a year ago, our buddy Kyle, shout out to Kyle. We love you, Kyle. Says, hey, you need to meet my buddy Adrian. And Kyle's, he's one of those guys that if he tells me something, I'm like, yeah, okay. So we get on a phone call, Adrian. We don't know each other at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, I have no idea why Kyle is introducing me to this guy, but I've only known Kyle for a few months at this point, and I'm a pretty open person. Like, if someone thinks I need to meet someone else, I'll have a phone call with them, you know?
Right. So we get on a phone call, and before I know it, we're talking about life and elk hunting, and we're freaking crying on the phone.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was crying. I couldn't tell if you were crying, but I was definitely crying.
Oh no, dude, there was absolutely some tears coming out. I was sitting in silence with it. It was just like it was very unexpected. It was not where I saw the phone call beginning or ending. And you know what I think so ironic about that conversation is you were getting ready to go bow hunting and you were sharing with me you just had a really big breakthrough. And if it's okay with you, I actually would like to really talk with you about your life journey, specifically probably over the last few years. Because I think a lot of men would benefit in hearing that, if that's okay with
Yeah,
you.
absolutely.
And, these parts of you that, maybe not everybody knows. I know it's maybe a little bit of an edge, but I also feel like there is so much wisdom and just authenticity that comes out of you. My hope is to like bottle that up a little bit today and share it with people. So you were getting ready to go on a archery bow hunt up to the Bridger Teton National Forest with Crooked Sky Outfitters.
On horseback. Yeah.
The spot. And ironically, 10 months later, me and you are on horses going to the exact same spot.
That's right. That's right. It is kind of full circle, right? The fact that the first conversation we're talking about horseback riding up to this amazing place that I tell you is like one of the most sacred places in the world to me.
Yes.
And we get to
Yes.
experience it with 13 men just, 10 months later.
Like not even, it was like one of those things that was like, how did that happen? So Adrian, maybe let's where do you think would be a good place to start? I definitely want to talk about the horseback trip today.
Well, look here. Let's start with this. Let's start with this because I want to make this the whole topic. Like there's fun stories to share, but I want to put these in like this in a container that's going to be useful to people. And so I'm going to go back in time about 10 years. So I'm in my mid 30s, probably the most lonely time in my life. Um, I'm married with, with 2 young kids, and I have a great marriage, but I'm in Buffalo, New York, far away from my friends. The friends I made in law school and that were in dental school at the time, they've all moved on to start their careers. I just was this like professionally very successful, uh, happily married, lonely man. And I didn't even realize how lonely I was till I came out to do this hunt with my cousins that I used to work on the ranch with as kids. And we're just like kids again. We're just playing, we're shooting arrows at animals and chasing, you know, hiking around the mountains and riding horses. And then we'd all get together at night at the mess tent and tell our stories. And it just like filled this hole, this void I had in my life. As before that, I just didn't realize how lonely I was.
Mhm.
I realized like, man, like I needed this. I needed to be with friends and people I love that I could be open with and just like have a great time.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so after that, it was kind of like every 2 years, no matter what, I made it a priority to go up and hunt at this camp. And I'd go up and hunt and I would come back with like a new lease on life. I just come back like energized, right? It's like medicine being up there,
Yeah.
And so fast forward to the year before I met you, and I had a son that was dealing with, like that was suicidal, had some major mental health issues, in and out of residential treatment. And after going through all these challenges, I started to look inward because I realized I couldn't fix my son, but I could work on myself, you
Yeah.
know? And part of that was medicine, but the biggest thing that changed me was I started meditating every day. So for about 200 days straight, I meditated every day. And man, like that's it just changed the way I showed up for my son,
Mhm.
changed the way I showed up for myself. And so here I was kind of in this like spiritual high of like, man, I'm finally able to sit in stillness and be okay with myself.
Mm.
And I have this call with you, you know, the week before I go up to this camp. And it's like, and I had this realization talking to you, like, oh, I've never been up to the camp before since I started meditating. Like, what's it gonna be like? What's it gonna be like being there, being totally present? Because, you're up in the wilderness, you don't see another soul. Like, it's easy to be present, but then you add to that, like having some meditation or having some just like mindful practices.
Mhm.
And anyway, you just got me so fired up for that trip. And I went and had this amazing hunt. I got an elk in the first couple of days. And normally you hunt all day, every day, and you're lucky if you get one. But I had this like miracle that I get an elk my first day. So the second day we pack the elk to camp, and then we have to stay the night. I can't bring it all the way out until the next morning. So I have this evening free. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna go fishing. So I go down to the lake and I catch a fish, I catch another fish, but the second fish gets kind of stuck on the hook. And you always feel bad when you have to like pull a
Yeah.
pull the fish's mouth, right? And I kind of have this moment like it is gorgeous. It's just barely sunset. And I was like, why am I like attacking these fish? Like, why don't I like sit down and meditate?
Mm.
So I sit down on the bank of this just like mirror lake with the sun setting in the back, and my breath starts flowing, and it's always a little stereotypical, right? Like I'm sitting there on this big meditating, this perfect night, and then like suddenly like elk are like bugling in the distance, and it was like this. It was just like this miracle moment of like, oh yeah, like life is so good now,
That's right.
and so anyway, so I think this like I get back from that trip, you invite me on your evolution, and look, I've always like since that first hunt, I've always been like, there's this hole in my life. I don't know if other men have this, but we need more men. Men need to get together. Men are lonely,
Mm.
and they're the last people to admit that they're lonely. And we've talked about this. Like in my church, there was a group of leaders talking, and the women. This was coming out of COVID, and the women were like, "Oh, I think our women are lonely. They need to get together more. After COVID, everyone's really lonely." And one of the men leaders said, "Oh, not us men. We're fine." Seriously, he said that. Like as if he was speaking for all men. Like, we don't need anything. We're fine, right? And there is just this like, what's the word? Like this machismo, right? Of this like,
Yeah.
this like toughness. It's like Clint Eastwood. Like, yeah, we don't need a thing, right? It's just a lie, and it doesn't serve us, you
Yeah.
know. And so you invited me on your weekend evolution project, and it's just so obvious to me. Like, what we need is to take this experience and take it up into the mountains with horses.
Yeah. I remember, one, thanks for coming. I really enjoyed, the container's different every time because of the men that come. It's like
Mm.
that kind of is what forms the group. Everyone's lived experience, how much they wanna play full out, how willing, how
Mhm.
open, and, the group you went with was a really, just a good group. I felt like there was really good conversations and, personal breakthroughs, and what I thought was so great is afterwards, you called me and you're like, "Hey, I've got an idea I wanna run past you." And I'm like, "Yeah, shoot, man." And you're like, "Dude, we gotta do an evolution project up in, where I go, the Bridger Tetons." And I was like, "Okay." And this is like May-ish, and I'm kind of like, "When?" And you're like, "Dude, they got a week open in the end of July. I've already told them we're doing it, basically.
Yeah.
We just need to find the guys." And I remember there were all these stories in my head. It was like, "Okay, I've never been there before. Okay, it's like a 4-hour drive. Uh, it's gonna be more expensive than we
It's
charge
like,
people for an
like three
evolution."
times the price.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like more than it, and then I'm like sitting there, I'm doing all this stuff, and and then I remember the question I asked myself is I was like, "Brian, is this something you would want to do?" And I remember thinking, "Yeah." So maybe it's just me and Adrian and like one or two other dudes, and I'm like, I would still go. I would
Yeah.
still go. And what was so cool is, started to reach out, and in like 2 weeks, the men that wanted to come came. And I thought what was so interesting is most of the time they would just say yes almost immediately. It was like,
Right.
"Yeah, I'm in. That sounds
It's like,
cool."
"Hey, we're gonna go up to the mountains. There's gonna be horses, and and they'd be like, "Great. Yeah, I'm sold. That sounds great."
And you
Yeah.
know what I thought was interesting? I'd say, the range of horsemanship in the group, you've got some guys that I felt like were very comfortable on horses, spent a lot of time. Then you got
Yeah.
other guys where it's like, man, I haven't ridden a horse since Boy Scouts and I was 13 years old, right? Or I've never ridden a horse. And what I loved is all of these preconceived things that I had in my head. The truth is they didn't matter. Like
Mm.
everything worked itself out. Everything was fine. And I would say that was one of the highlights of my year last year. It was one of the most unexpected of the sorry. I literally in my mind, I feel like it's a year. It's literally just a few months ago. And what I think so cool too about that group is like we're still in conversation. We're still getting together. We got together at your house this morning and did a cold plunge and sauna,
Yeah.
with a group. And some had gone, some had not. But I feel like it's like I really think you're onto something, around that concept of friendship,
Yeah.
and loneliness. And what does it look like? What does it look like for men in their 40s to meet new men and become friends with people? Like what
Mhm.
is that like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it's also this whole thing of like, every man every man that I know wants to go on a guy's trip with a bunch of buddies, right? But what they really want is a bunch of buddies.
Yeah.
Like the trip's great, but what people need is they need friends that are there for you,
Yeah.
right? When you need someone, you know?
Yeah. What are some of the highlights when you think of the trip? What are some of the things that come up for you, like you personally, that was like, this was really good,
Well, look,
like,
the first thing is when people hear like, "Oh, we're going on a horseback trip," they kind of think like, "Oh, you're gonna go up to a dude ranch and like ride horses once a day," right? People
yeah,
don't realize that like, no, you're gonna meet at a trailhead and you're gonna get on horses and take everything you're gonna use for the next 4 days on horses up to the mountains. You're gonna be deep in the wilderness, right? You don't see another soul for the whole trip. Like, how rare is that? How
yeah,
rare? How often is it that you spend 24 hours without being around other people, you
yeah,
know? And, and so, but there's all this work we can do, right, to quiet our mind, right? Whether it's through meditation or breath work or, studying scripture. But like just being outdoors
yeah,
is like it's like injecting it directly into your veins. It's like just being in like the beauty of God's creation.
Yeah.
Like that's the most special part. So for me, the highlight of the whole trip is you saddle up all the horses, everyone gets assigned their horse, they give you a little training, they load up the horses with everyone's gear, and then you make a big line of the horses, right? So it takes hours to prepare this thing, plus
Yeah.
all the hours they spent loading up the horses, driving them there, loading feed up the day before, and this whole kind of caravan of horses just takes off, at a walk along the trail.
Yeah.
And there's just this like beautiful moment of like, it's like that moment in the first Lord of the Rings movie, right? Where they're like setting out, like take that step, right? Like this is further than I've ever gone before. And there's that just sense of adventure of like the horses are moving. We have no idea what lies ahead of us, but it's something new.
Yeah.
And that's just like feeling of like, what are we going to experience together is like so exciting to me.
One of the things I enjoyed that I didn't realize how much I was going to enjoy it was the solitude I
Yeah.
felt riding the horse. Because there's a rhythm to a horse, right? You're just
Yeah.
you're doing, and then as you're doing that, you start to kind of like, I don't know, I just believe like, I don't know, my body like dropped into kind of a rhythm with that. And then I'm looking around, and at the time we're going up there, there's still things in blossom because it's at a
Oh,
higher altitude. So you've got these fields of flowers, and you've got butterflies flying around and birds singing, and water is running through, these gorges and stuff that you're going across. And one of the things that I didn't realize how much I was going to enjoy too was how when I was greeted by the company that
uh-huh.
runs this outfit, Crooked Sky Outfitters, Landon,
Mhm.
Stewart, and all the other guys that make it possible. There is something. There's this saying that I heard once that basically says, um, all rich guys want really that sell their company is to sell everything and just become a cowboy. And but there's something about the life of a cowboy, it's
Mhm.
like it's really simple. A handshake is like your word. They look you in the eyes. They don't skirt subjects. They talk about things pretty matter of fact and
Well, and
direct.
and and look, to be honest, we all grow up around cowboys that are drugstore cowboys, right? Like they bought their hat, they bought the gear,
Yeah,
they're posers,
that's
right?
right. That's
Whereas
right.
like Landon and Stewart, like they're like right out of a Norman Rockwell painting. It's like these are like the real cowboys.
Yeah.
Oh,
When they were telling elk hunt trips in the winter, like in the late, like October, November, I'm sitting around the campfire and they're like, yeah, the whole face was, there was a blizzard and we're trying to find our horses at 2 o'clock in the morning and coming off the mountain. I'm just sitting there thinking, that sounds like probably the scariest thing I could imagine myself in.
and
And
they're
these guys
like,
are just
yeah, and they're
that.
like, and then we pull out our rifle, but the scope was full of snow because we'd fallen in the snow. So we had to like scrape the snow out so we could take a shot. It's just like, yeah, I mean, these guys are just like they're like living like the Yellowstone life, It's just
That's
like
right.
wild, wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're really, really good people.
Yeah.
Stuart and Landon were on that Netflix show, Meat Eaters a few years back,
That's right.
and look, Meat Eaters normally, if you watch that show, um, the show's about the stars, right? It's about the two main guides that are taking people to all these amazing places to hunt. But but it's like when they did their hunt with Landon and Stewart, like they were overshadowed by Landon and Stewart because they're just such characters,
Yeah.
right? Like in the show, I mean, and even in the podcast after, it's like Stewart shares like, hey, when I go up on a hunt on Saturday night, I ride my horse 7 hours back to my truck, drive 2 hours home, go to church the next morning, turn around, drive 2 hours back, ride my horse in 7 miles into camp because I respect the Sabbath and I don't want to miss church.
Yeah.
And like hundreds of people called in and said, we want to hunt with you. Like, we want to go to church with you. Right. Like, it's just like so rare that you hear people talking about sacrificing for their faith,
Yeah.
and like these guys are just like, it's just who they are, it's
Yeah.
just pretty cool being around that.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta tell you, I'm just so grateful that they're your family members,
Mm.
because I just think of the impact that that horseback trip was for the men that came, and how there's no way I could have orchestrated that.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way I would have known any of that stuff. I mean, the reality is if you told most people, hey, organize a horseback trip, first off, the logistics are crazy. There's no way you're going to do it. And they've got it down to a science. They've been going to this place for decades. The cooks,
Oh
I
yeah.
mean,
It's like the best home cooking you've ever
it's
had. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's just there's so many things that it's like you just couldn't it's the once in a lifetime experiences. I think we talked about that, right? Like all the things that it's like, yeah, you couldn't do that, you know? It'd be hard to orchestrate yourself. So, um I wanted to talk with you a little bit about I mean, I think you've hit on a lot of the things I'd want to talk about. Being unplugged, connecting with nature, meditation, loneliness. Uh if there's a guy listening right now, like is there anything that you would like and they're kind of on the bubble about going?
Mhm.
What would be the thing that you would tell them that you think would be valuable for them to know?
Well, sometimes you go on a trip where like, oh yeah, some of the people really liked it. Some of the people were lukewarm on it. Like we took 13 men on the trip last year. Every single one of them said this was a once in a lifetime experience.
Yeah.
Every single one of them absolutely loved it. Whether they had experience with horses or not, it's like, you know, our life is so short. There's a great book called A Million Miles in a Thousand Years and by Donald Miller. And in this book, um, he makes this comment. He said, "You need to live your life like it's a great movie." And so, like, what makes your life like a great movie? Well, you got to take chances, right? You got to take risks. You got to put yourself in uncomfortable situations, right? Because can you imagine a movie where someone just like, there's a movie and there's this guy and he gets up and he goes to work and he comes home from work and then, puts his kids to bed and then does the same the next day. Once a year, he goes on a vacation to Hawaii for a week. And, on that, right? Like, that's the worst movie ever, right? Like, if that is your life, right, then it can't be that fun because it would be if it's a terrible movie, it's a kind of a boring life too.
Yeah.
And so it's like the biggest appeal is like, hey, like, how about choosing adventure this summer?
Yeah.
Like take a risk, put yourself in a place that's uncomfortable, go get on top of, of a horse that weighs 600 or 700 pounds and go to a place you've never been before and experience something amazing. It's just
Yeah.
interesting. I mean, we had so many, two or three of the men that came on the trip last year, their lives were in crisis.
Yeah.
And they walked into the group with just a shadow over them, right? But then after a few days in like the fresh air and riding the horses, like it's just impossible not to realize, right? Like what a beautiful life we have, no matter what's happening, no matter what the circumstances are,
Yeah.
right? You get away into nature and it just puts things into perspective. And I think everybody needs that.
Yeah. To be witnessed, to feel alive, you know? I was
Absolutely.
gonna say that they did make a movie about that script. It's called The Life of Walter Mitty.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it only got interesting when the script flipped and he
Yeah.
was like, "I'm going on an adventure." And
Yeah.
it was scary and it was challenging and not everything worked out the right way and everything worked out exactly the way it was supposed to. And the reality is he got a new lease on life. Like he came back and he couldn't see his framework from the one he previously had lived in and existed in. And I think the truth is men want to feel alive. Men want to be connected to their hearts. I got news for you. Like, I think one of the most dangerous things that happens is when men are not connected to their hearts. I think that's actually one of the most dangerous places because they go numb. They fall victim to usually some type of addiction, whether that's work or alcohol or drugs or
Some
pornography
other addiction.
or, like fill in the blank, an affair. Who knows,
Yeah.
right? And so it's really important we keep a grip, keep attention on our life that is putting us on a continual trajectory. And, what better way to do that than to say yes to something that's like a little outside of the box and go do it with a bunch of cool guys, you know?
Yeah. Well, and you make me think about like Walter Mitty. It makes me think of the movie It's a Wonderful Life, right? It's almost Christmas now. Like one of my all-time favorite movies.
Yeah.
And the thing I love about it is in that movie, the main character, he's a reluctant hero. He never wants to take the risk, right? But he always does it because it's the right thing to do. and
Yeah.
he like changes his life and he changes the lives of everyone around him, you know? And so, and in every great story, the hero's always reluctant. We're always going to feel resistance to
Yeah.
do the thing that's really going to change us, right? And so, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing is if you hear about this trip and it scares you and excites you, right, in equal portions, that's probably a good message that like you should say yes to it. And I think that's true of any adventure that you're
That's right.
invited, you know?
India next. We're going to India in a couple of
Oh, dude,
Adrian.
we are.
It's on.
It's
I'm
happening.
telling you.
We spoke it, and there will be a trip to India. My wife's like, "You can't go to India without me," but like, that's fine. She can come too. But I'm just saying, we're going. You know.
Natalie, if you're listening, we love you, and we would love to go to India with you. Um. All right. So, Adrian, what do the men need to know that want to come? Like, what's the deets? What do we want to share with everybody?
Okay, so here's the trip. We meet 6 a.m. on the last Wednesday in July. What is that, like the 29th?
Yeah.
And we provide transportation. We drive up together to the trailhead. It's about a 2-hour drive. We eat a kind of a early lunch there at the trailhead. You're going to learn you're going to get a little tutorial in horsemanship if you haven't ridden a horse. And then we get up on horses, and literally all you need to bring is a sleeping bag and clothes for the trip.
Yep.
Everything else is up there.
Yep.
We take the horses about 7 miles into the camp. We stay in frame tents on cots with pretty thick pads, so it's pretty comfortable.
My pad had holes in it though, but we hopefully have gotten that
some
replaced
pads have
since
holes
then.
in them,
Okay.
you know, and for someone like Bryan, that roughing it is slow room service, you know, that could be hard. But
Landon and I had a heart-to-heart about it. It's gonna
yeah, yeah. No, anyway, there's outfitters there that saddle your horses. There's chefs. There were 2 cooks that make just amazing meals. So all the meals are provided. And then each day we just go up and do activities. So sometimes one day we'll do a long trail ride, like even deeper up into the mountains. That was just incredible. You remember that view where we ate our lunches? I mean, just awesome.
Dude, I was gonna say that's the place that I like to go in meditation. Just both on the hike and on the horseback trip where we had,
Oh
because
yeah.
it was just so it just felt like I was in my own place. You know, it was
Yeah,
just me.
and the thing about wilderness is like you go to like famous national parks or whatever, and it's beautiful, but it's almost like generic. Like people are everywhere, it's crowded. But if you're in true wilderness, there's this sense that 1,000 years ago, it was exactly the same as it is right now.
Yeah,
And there's just like this purity to it, right? It's
that's
beautiful.
right. That's
So
right.
during the day, we'll, usually the first half of the day, we'll go do an adventure, ride horses, go on a tough trail ride, or we'll go on a tough hike. And then we come do, we'll cold plunge together. We'll do breath work together. We'll do some work as a group, but like that's like a small part of the whole day.
Hmm.
Um, and then one night we'll go on a sunset trail ride. And like, oh man, it was just such a spectacular night riding the horses up over this ridge as the sun's setting and all the colors. And then there's free time. There's free time where you can go. It's like a 15-minute hike down to Lake Alice where you can catch Bonneville cutthroat. So you can go fish. You can just hang out with the group. There's a river right next to the camp where we set up rocks so people could cold plunge right in the river there.
Yep.
And honestly, that's what people don't realize is like you get to the camp and you get everything unsaddled. And like this camp just feels like home. You just like want to hang out there, And then every night, sun goes down and the stars go out. And if you've never been in the wilderness to see the stars before, it is just like nothing else. I mean, it's absolutely spectacular. And then we sit around the fire, right? And what do they call that? And we have the circle of truth, right? A place where people can share and like be open. And there's a lot of emotion that was shared,
Yeah.
We had a couple of really great facilitators, one that taught about parts work and how we can connect these different parts inside us. I think that one was impactful to a lot of people there.
Hmm.
We learned how to do breath work, from Randy Sparks, who was awesome. And it was just special. I was able to share with everyone the priming meditation from Tony Robbins. And it's interesting. It's like I've like led people in that meditation other places, but everything's different when you're up in the wilderness, away from all distractions, away from all your phones. There's no cell coverage up there, right?
Yeah.
For some people, that's a negative. I think for us, it was definitely a feature, a benefit of the trip. Like, you're just disconnected. And I love
That's
that.
right.
And then you finish, and we have like a final circle, and then you ride your horses out, and you just leave there with like this energy, and you see the world that you return to through new eyes, you know.
That's right.
So that's the trip. So you leave Wednesday, you come back Saturday, you get back kind of early evening on that Saturday, and yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing trip.
I got one last question for you.
All right.
Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so right now we have about 6 spots filled right now.
Yeah, yeah, we have 6 spots, and we haven't even really asked for payment from the people who went last year. I mean, after the smoke clears, we may only have a couple of spots open,
Yeah.
once
So I
one.
mean,
Yeah.
so the reality is if you're listening to this and you want to go, like, you probably should act with haste.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so it's a
Um,
it's a $1,200 deposit. I don't know if you want me to talk about money on
no,
it,
I
but
want you to tell them
yeah,
everything they need to know.
it's
Yes.
$1,200 deposit to lock in your spot, and then the total price is $3,500, and so, that's due basically the 1st of July, and then
Yep.
the trip's the last week in July.
Yep. Thank you for sharing that. We'll have all the stuff up for the payment and the website and stuff, so we can link that in this dialogue. I want to know something. You started out this talking about loneliness, talking about living in Buffalo, talking about where you were at 10 years ago. What
Mhm.
does brotherhood mean to you now from this point, from this place?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's interesting because you have this thing that you've missed for so long that
Who
you don't.
does? Who does,
Sorry,
Adrian?
sorry, sorry, sorry. So I lived so many years, like, feeling like I was missing something, and now I have it. Now I have a group of men that I get together with at least on a weekly basis, and I never want to live life again another way because it's just too valuable.
Dude, mic drop. I think that's no, seriously, I'm just touching my heart right now because
Yeah.
um my life, it's not what I do, it's who I do it with, you
Mhm.
know? And I think there's nothing greater than doing cool stuff with people you love, you know?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'll tell you one of the things that I would add is brotherhood has only enhanced my relationship with my wife and with my children
Yeah.
because there's a part of me that is received in brotherhood that I don't feel like can fully get met in other ways in other containers, right? Like my wife knows me, she loves me, we have an awesome relationship. But the other truth is sometimes I need to like talk about things with other men that I just need someone to hear me. It doesn't mean that like that's where I'm going. It's just like, dude, I got these things I got to talk out right now. Or challenges with kids, right? Or just being witnessed. I think that's so powerful. The container that's set up where somebody can say exactly where they're at and everybody just sits there and goes,
Yeah. Me too. Me too.
yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, so, I had just like one last thought. And, I was on this Facebook discussion page, right? And someone asked the question, I've heard people talking a lot about male loneliness. Is that real or is it just overblown by the media? Right? This person asked that, and they really asked this question. And I promise you, the first 4 comments were like, oh, I'm good. I don't think it's a real thing. Oh, yeah, I'm fine. That's never been an issue for me. Maybe for someone it is, right? Like, that's all the comments. And like, I don't know who these amazing people that are just surrounded by buddies all the time, right? But like, congratulations to them. Like,
Yeah.
the reality is, the more common, lived experience of the men in my life is that there's this hole of loneliness. And if it doesn't get filled, it leads to like all of the alternatives are negative for your family and for
Yeah.
you.
Yep. So, Adrian, thank you for taking the time today. One of my favorite things about you is passion, dude. Like, you do
My
not
pleasure.
ever have to guess if Adrian's excited about something or believes in something because you can hear it. It's in his voice. It's how he shows up. And Adrian and I are doing this together. And I want you to know how excited I am to do it again this year,
Ah,
and how grateful I am that you raised voice to this to me and said, "Hey, I think this is something that men would respond to because clearly they have." So, if
yeah.
you're thinking about coming on the adventure with us, seriously, don't wait. Right now, we just have the one set up, and really, there's 13 spots, and that's the truth. That's not any magic. That's real. That's how much they can. That's how many people they can bring in, and that's how it works. So Anyway, all right. So we're going to end our Evolution Project podcast here today. Adrian, thanks for taking the time.
Thank
Come with
you,
us on a
Brad.
grand adventure.
Yeah. Good work.